Hello, everyone. Yair Spitz from the field here again with an update. Um, so things have changed in the last 2 days, and we've been told that we're going to a completely different area in the country. It's a very big operation for the entire battalion, or for the majority of our battalion, to basically split forces and to head in a different place. So spent an entire day organizing the convoy. Have to fold up everything we spent a week building in the empty field that we got to. Basically, needs to be folded up and undone, basically, and get organized for a very, very big and long convoy to travel through the country. Um, so I have a vehicle. I was assigned my own vehicle, which is a big luxury because I can put all my equipment there. I have my own driver, and and it's much easier for me to do the things I need to do. So we started heading out, and then my vehicle developed a problem, and so we had to go to a nearby base. And now the convoy can't wait because it needs to as fast as possible get to its new location, set up camp, and be ready to activate if needed. So we were assigned to a base on the way. It's actually our home base, the place where we were for the first week of the war, in order to try to get things fixed as fast as possible to join the rest of the main force of the battalion. After reaching my home base and taking my Hummer, it's a Hummer, taking it to the shop, it became clear within an hour or two that they weren't going to be able to fix the issue quickly enough for us to be able to catch up with the convoy, and that me and my driver and I would be spending the night there. So on the one hand, my initial response was I was bummed out about it. I was upset because setting up a new base, setting up a whole new camp in a different area of the country. It's very challenging, very difficult. So I wanted to be there to participate, to help with what I can, to support the soldiers, my soldiers. So I was upset about it, but that's the reality. On the other hand, it meant that for one evening I could relax a little bit, and I could enjoy eating real food, taking an actual shower, a decent shower, real shower, assessing my physical state of being, which is very difficult to do when you're in the field. So that was, I guess, the evening. And the truth is that the home base is also the location where soldiers who started going out for a day to visit home, they have issues to take care of, or there are enough soldiers in their unit so they can start doing a rotation of people going out for a day to freshen up a little bit. So all the soldiers that are let out and come back, they have to go through the home base. That's where they put all their personal belongings, and they put their weapon, and they pick it up afterwards. So there's kind of soldiers coming and going, and it's much more relaxed. And so when I was there, a few soldiers also were dropped off, coming and going, and it's amazing to see. I was talking about me being there for one day and being able to take care of myself a little bit more. That the conditions made it very obvious. The challenges that we face are very apparent. The difficulty of living in the field, and you have let's say in my unit, or in my platoon, my battalion, a few hundred soldiers who are living in extremely difficult conditions. No running water. If they're lucky, they're taking one shower a week. No bathrooms. So in the field, as no need for more detail. Some days we get. Some days we'll get donations of civilians who come out to where we are to give us food. Sometimes we'll even get 3 or 4 donations like that, and then we can't eat all the food and we have to throw it away. And other days we get no donations, and we're just eating what's called manot krav, which is basically army rations, which are all in like tuna, corn, canned tuna, canned corn, canned chocolate spread, basically all kinds of weird canned things. Um, and people can't people don't have enough. People have a limited amount of uniforms to change into and out to. They're running around all day. They're sweating. A lot of people, there are mosquitoes there. A lot of people developing have rashes in different places in their body. These are all normal field conditions. So, these are things that I am most soldiers are familiar with from when we do reserve duty, when we go to the field for 3 days, 4 days, when we do practices, things of that sort. But being in the field like this for 2 weeks, it takes a very serious toll. Now, I point all this out not because I'm trying to, make people feel sorry for the soldiers. The point I draw from this is a very different one. The fact that you have 350,000 men and women who have basically volunteered to live in these types of conditions for 2 weeks. And not just for 2 weeks, that's just so far. For 3 weeks, for 4 weeks, for 5 weeks, for 7 weeks, for 8 weeks, for as long as needed. And they do so gladly. And the motivation continues to be extremely, extremely high, despite the very difficult and challenging conditions that people are in. Because people understand what is at stake here, and they understand what this is all about. And although I, was lucky to have one night of being able to rest a little bit more, sleep more comfortably, eat more comfortably, shower more comfortably, and kind of recuperate a little bit. It's amazing to see the soldiers that are coming and going there. Not one of them said, I'm staying home. I can't believe this. They're all going home 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, and planning on coming right back to join in, to sleep on the ground, not eat that well, not sleep that well. They're looking forward to it, to come back. And it's amazing to see the Mesirut Nefesh. I mean, it really is Mesirut Nefesh on every single level that people here are doing. And just to think of the numbers, 350,000 people who are Moser Nefesh on a daily basis, whether they are actually involved in combat already or not, they are Moser Nefesh every single day. And there's something, I think, very, very powerful in that concept. The next morning, after a decent night's sleep, our Hummer was ready to go. Put up all of our equipment on it, and we headed out. After a few hours, we reached another base that we need to stop over to pick up some more equipment. And there are about 6 or 7 soldiers from my battalion, from my platoon actually, who are sitting around, and they're organizing the equipment we need to take, and we're supposed to join together with them. And all of us head up to our new permanent camp. And so they're sitting around eating. They got luxurious food. They had like these airplane style, packets that have, 3 different areas, schnitzel in one, beans in the other compartment, and the rice in the other compartment. And it was warm because it was from the base that we're visiting at the moment. So as I drive up, so one of them, turns to me and he yells out. He says, "Rabbi, tell us something about the parsha." It's Friday. People are already thinking Shabbat, whether they're observant or not. People look forward to Shabbat here because the level of activity goes down. And as I said, there are a lot of traditional people here and a lot of people who are discovering that they are traditional during the last 2 weeks. So he says, "Rabbi, tell us something about the parsha." So the truth is, and I didn't mention this before, I have no books with me. I have no Sfarim with me. Before I left the house on Motzei Shabbat and Motzei Simchat Torah, I took with me a few Sidurim that I knew I would need. I did not take any Sfarim with me, not big ones, not small ones, not pocket ones. The truth is, I didn't think about it. There are a lot of things that I didn't end up taking. And one of them was Sfarim. And the truth is, even if I had Sfarim with me of any kind, I would have had very little, if any, time to open them, which is perfectly fine considering the circumstances and considering the mitzvah that we are all involved in here. But he says to me, "Okay, say something from the parsha." So I said, "Well, the parsha is Noach, and as many people know, the Parsha of Noach talks about the Mabul, talks about the flood. And it says, and interestingly, at the very beginning of the Parsha, all this I'm telling the soldiers, it's the beginning of the Parsha, when it talks about why Hashem destroyed the world and brought the flood on humanity. It says, Ki malah haaretz chamas, that the entire world was filled with Hamas, and therefore God had no choice but to destroy humanity. And then they all kind of half chuckled, and one of them said to me, so what does it mean other than the coincidence? What does it mean? So I said, well, the truth is, of course, Hamas. When it says Hamas in the Torah, it's not talking about the terrorist organization Hamas, but what it is talking about is talking about the fact that human civilization at the time had become fully and completely corrupt, morally corrupt. It had become the entirety of humanity had degenerated into the lowest aspects of moral behavior or immoral behavior. To the point where the only way for humanity to go forward was to completely eradicate the entire culture that had developed of complete moral corruption. I said, and that's something which very much resonates with us. Said, we're talking. It became very clear to all of us, the entire world, that there's an entire culture on the other side of this conflict. That is, the entire culture is completely morally corrupt. This is something that has become clear, and I imagine all of you have seen it as well, that it is not just professional terrorists who participated in the atrocities 2 weeks ago, as seen in videos, although thankfully I have not seen practically any. But I've heard and I've read online as far as the reports that many quote-unquote civilians from Gaza jumped on the bandwagon and participated in many of the atrocities, anything from the worst atrocities to just coming and looting. I said, so what's become clear here is you have an entire society that has become completely morally corrupt. And therefore, it connects very strongly to one of the messages of this parasha, that when you have an entire civilization that has become so morally corrupt, the only possible response, the only way to fix it, is to eradicate it and destroy it. One of the soldiers responded and said, so what he's saying is that history just goes on and repeats itself over and over. So I said, well, not exactly. I said, it seems that there are certain things in history, certain trends that repeat themselves throughout history. But if in the Parsha we read about the fact that back then Hashem is the one who acted upon this and upon the civilization that needed to be annihilated in order to rebuild a better humanity. So in the past, Hashem did it for us, and now we're supposed to do it for Him, or for ourselves, or for the world. I said, but it gives us a foundation, strong foundation, that this is morally justified, morally necessary. And I negated it with the fact that over there you have the entire society that is participating, either actively participating in these actions and these horrible atrocities, and you have around them an entire society that's cheering them on. And that entire society is both in Gaza and in other places in the world that is actively, lending support, trying to lend moral support, political support to these actions. He says, on the other hand, you have us. And then I brought up what I mentioned earlier in this update about you have hundreds of thousands of simple men and women who have left everything behind, left their families, and living in the field and putting their lives on the line in many, many different ways in order to stand up for what is good, for what is right, and for what is just.